Not everything has to be in stereo. I love stereo. It's great. I love 5.1. I love Atmos. I love surround, all of it. It's all fantastic. But this idea when we're working in stereo that everything is like LCR is great. I actually like LCR when you're talking about rock and big, powerful guitars and stuff. That's not really my issue about taking one guitar and putting it in one speaker, taking its double and putting it in another. That is not the issue. The issue is when you get signals that are stereo, like overheads, a piano mic. They don't have to be wah, wah, hard right or left panning. Well, for you it would be hard right and left panning. Be judicious about how you do that. If you start panning everything super left and right, reverbs, all the ambience, overheads, pianos, strings, if everything starts to be like this, nothing sounds like this. It all just turns into a bunch of clutter. Get strategic about how you're going to do it. Yes, mono heavy guitar on one side, mono heavy guitar on the other side, a double of it. Not the same performance, but a brand new performance. We'll make them sit specifically in the speakers. Overheads though, I like 70 or 80% a lot these days. Just bring them in a little bit. Get that drum kit to sit here rather than like kick, snare, tom-tom, overheads like this. Rooms, same thing. Pan them in a little bit. Make it start to feel like it's sitting in this middle here with some width. But then when you want to go hard left, hard right on those guitars, or hard left, hard right, when you want to get those guitars super wide, they will feel wide. They'll feel like they're in that space. Panning those overheads in a little bit. Grand pianos. It's great if it's a single vocal and a piano to have it be massive and expansive. But when it comes to a dense track and you've got a grand piano in there, why would you want it to be super left and right? You start doing that, again, you're covering anything that you're trying to get wide out there. And so suddenly it all becomes really cluttered. On the subject of pianos, for instance, if I've got an upright, I can definitely stereo mic it. But quite often, in fact, all the time, quite frankly, I use a AEA ribbon mic on a piano and we keep it mono. And that works great. I can take that piano and I can leave it down the center, or I can pan it to one side slightly. If I want a bit of ambience to just make it feel a little bit stereo, maybe I'll do that. But essentially, I like recording it in mono. It gives me a lot more opportunity to create space in my mix. If that piano is then wide and stereo with a wide stereo reverb around it, all of the mix has just turned into a bunch of mush. I've got this stereo piano with stereo reverb, overheads, room mics, guitars, ambience, 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 all going around everything. And suddenly it's just really, really complex. If you listen to the great mixes, and when I mean great mixes, like a Bob Clearmountain mix, or a Mark Endert mix, or a Spike Stent mix, like the true artists out there, you listen to some of their stuff. Chad Blake, I mean, come on, it's absolutely fantastic mixes. When you listen to what they're doing, they're really creating space and depth. You know, yes, there's some LCR going on, but there's a lot cleverer stuff going on, you know. Bob Clearmountain, for instance, has like sounds where he puts an effect and a delay underneath it in its place quite often, and it just feels completely in its place. Mono reverbs, mono delays, putting them underneath the source or opposite is a really, really smart way to go. So take your guitar sound that you're putting in like 50% in the verse, and then if it's got a slap delay or a reverb, put it directly underneath. Sit it underneath, maybe pull down a little bit, and it will firmly place it in that place. If you do want it to feel a little bigger, maybe take that reverb that's at 50% on that side and put it on 50% on the other side. And now you've got a stereo image, but it's like a reverb in mono in one place, it's the original guitar sound in mono in one place, and it starts to create a nice story for your ears. How about that for a quote? Story for your ears. Rather than taking that one guitar and then putting a big stereo reverb around it and just having this wash of everything going all over the place. Not everything has to be stereo. You don't need always stereo ambience on everything. You don't need every piano to be super left and right and wide and just think about this. Think about how much space you can really create if you start getting really selective about where you place things. And also these tricks on having like reverbs underneath mono signals, like mono verbs on a vocal. You want a classic 50s, 60s soul stacks, Motown sound? Try a mono reverb, try a mono plate, a mono chamber directly under the vocal. That will make it sound more classic than trying to have a stereo one around it. Start thinking about that. Start thinking not everything has to be stereo. Number 4. Now I have talked about this before, and it's something that a few people touch upon. So I can't say this is one that's completely not spoken about, but I will say is ignored quite greatly.